All right, I hope everybody had a great test. So what we're going to do is we're going to review some key terms to introduce this first unit, or this first lesson in the new unit. It's adding and subtracting polynomials. So at the end of this, you're going to be able to classify polynomials. You're going to be able to add and subtract polynomials. So the first thing we talk about is classifying polynomials. So we classify them based off of two things. Their degree, which is the highest exponent of any term. And we also classify it based off the number of terms. So if it has no exponent, we call that a constant. If it has a variable, the exponent's a 1, so we call that a linear. If it has an exponent of 2, we call that a quadratic. If it has an exponent of a 3,
Ray Fugit, come to the office, please. Raymond Fugit.
We call that a cubic. If it has a 4, we call that a quartic. If it has a 5 in it, we call that a quintic. Okay, and it doesn't always have to be x. It could be y, it could be z, whatever it is. Now the other way we're going to classify it is the number of terms. Terms are separated by a plus or a minus sign. So if I just have nothing except for like a 2, all right, that's called a monomial because it's just one term. If I separate something with a plus or a minus and there's 2 terms, that's called a binomial. If I have 3 terms, okay, you kind of see in the hint here, we're going to call it a trinomial. And then if I have 4 terms, once we get to 4, we don't really have a special name for it, so we just call it a polynomial with 4 terms. So like if it had 5 terms, you would say a polynomial with 5 terms. If it had 6 terms, a polynomial with 6 terms, and so on. It just kind of continues that pattern. So then I kind of lead into an example. It says, why is 5x cubed minus 4 called a cubic binomial? Well, the highest exponent is right here, a 3, and we know that's called a cubic. So we're classifying up to the degree. Now, if you think about it, there's a minus sign, so that means there's 2 terms. 2 terms was called a binomial. So that's why it's called a cubic binomial. So just to practice, we're going to name each polynomial based on its degree and the number of terms. So right here, okay, if everything is all bunched together, you're going to add exponents. So that would be a 1 plus a 2. So my degree would be a 3. Okay? So this is going to be a cubic. Now how many terms are there? Well, it's just one big term, so we call that a monomial. All right? Moving on to the next one. This added together will give you 2. This is a 1, so this is also a 1. The highest exponent then is going to be that 2, so we're going to call this a quadratic. Okay? Now how many terms are there? Well, there's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, because they're separated by a minus and a plus sign. So that's 3 terms, so we're going to call this a trinomial. So that's a quadratic trinomial. And again, you only add the exponents when it's part of the same term. So like these are a part of the same term, so I went ahead and add their exponents to find my degree. So it says, why does a constant have a degree of 0? Well, a constant's any number, right? And we say it's a degree of 0 because it's going to be a constant line. It's going to be a flat line. It's never going to change. So like if you think about it, like y equals 2 is a flat line on 2. So the degree, right, it's not going to go up or down or anything like that. So it's going to be 0, which means you have a slope of 0. So that's why it's called a degree of 0. So the next big thing we talk about would be standard form of a polynomial. And that's the form of a polynomial in which the terms are written in descending order according to the degree. So we always start with the highest degree and we work our way down. And that's what standard form is like. So it says, what is the standard form of the polynomial? Well, I have all these terms. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. I'm going to start with the highest exponent. So that would be 6x to the 4th. All right, and then I'm going to go to the next highest exponent, which would be x cubed. And then the next one, negative 3x squared. And then the next one would be positive 7x. And the last one's going to be minus 5. And that's how you write it in standard form. You start with the highest exponent and work your way down. So go ahead and pause the video and try A and B. You're going to write those in standard form. Remember, start with your highest exponent and work your way down. So hopefully you paused it and you tried these. So negative 3x cubed is going to come first. 6x squared is going to come second. And then plus 7 is going to be at the end. And the last one, you should have done negative 8y squared plus 2y minus 3. Okay, it says how can you use, so that's essentially standard form. So then we lead into how can you use the properties of operations to combine like terms and write the expression 4x plus 3x squared plus 2x plus x squared plus 5 in standard form. So if you're going to add or subtract polynomials, right, you can combine terms that have the exact same exponent. And they have to have the exact same. So 3x squared plus x squared. So that's the same? Well, that's like saying 3 plus 1, which would give me 4. And I start with the x squared because that's the highest exponent. So then I go to my x's. There's 4x plus 2x. Well, that would be 6 of those. And then the plus 5 is just at the end because there's nothing to combine it with, so I just put plus 5. And that's writing it in standard form by adding the polynomials together. So you're just combining like terms. In order to combine like terms, they have to have the exact same exponent, so x's or y's or whatever it is, raised to the exact same power. So go ahead and pause the video and try these next two, write them in standard form. Hopefully you had some time to try this. So 4x squared minus x squared, well, that's 4 minus 1, which would give me 3. Negative 3x plus 3x, those are going to cancel, so my answer is just 3x squared. Bottom one, I'm going to start with y cubed. 7y cubed plus 5y cubed is going to give me 12y cubed. Negative 3y minus 2y is going to give me negative 5y, and then plus 7 at the end. Again, you start with your highest exponent, work your way down, and that's how you write standard form. And in order to combine like terms, they have to have the exact same exponent. So then it says, what is the sum of 4x squared plus 2x minus 3 and 3x squared plus 6? Well, if I write it out, sum means I'm adding, right? So it's very similar to what we just did. We're just going to combine like terms. So 4x squared plus 3x squared, well, that would be 7x squared. 2x, so there are no other x's, so I'm just going to put plus 2x. Negative 3 plus 6 would give me a positive 3. So again, please try the next two. Pause the video, see what you get. If you've had a chance to try it. So 3x squared. There are no other x squared, so I'm just going to put that out there. 2x minus x will give me 1x, and then positive 9 at the end. Bottom one, there are no other x squared, so I'll say negative 2x squared. 5x plus 3x will give me 8x. Negative 7 plus 7, they cancel. So that would be my answer. So that's adding. And then the last one's just going to be subtracting. So now it says difference. Now this is the hardest one, okay? Here's why I say it's the hardest one. Because whenever you subtract, you have to make sure that negative goes to the second thing. So there's two ways to do this. You can just know that the negative that you're subtracting everything, it's going to change the signs, or you can rewrite it. So what I like to do is I like to rewrite it. So this has become a negative 3x squared because it was positive on the inside. This has become a negative 5x because it was positive. It's going to become a positive 8 because it was negative. And then I go through and I combine like terms. So I distribute the negative and then combine like terms. You don't have to do that. You can just know that the negative goes to everything and then combine like terms just based off however you want to do it. So 3x minus 5x would be negative 2x. Negative 2 plus 8 would be positive 6. So go ahead and try the next two. So again, hopefully you had a little bit of time to try these. I'm going to rewrite it like I would. So the first one doesn't change. The second one is going to become a positive x and a negative 4. And I'm just going to go through and combine like terms. So 3x squared. 4x plus x gives me 5x. 2 minus 4 gives me negative 2. The bottom one, again, I always like to rewrite it and distribute my negative. That's just me. There are no other x squareds. Negative 5x, there are no other x's. And then negative 6 minus 6 gives me negative 12. Okay, so that's adding, subtracting. So then you have a word problem, but it just says an engineer is reviewing the layout of a solar farm. The solar farm shown has 4 small panels, 33 medium panels, and 32 large panels. What is the total area of the farm's solar panels? Well, it gives you the large ones, the small ones, and the mediums. It gives you the area, so we're just going to add the areas together. So I'm going to take 32x squared plus 384x plus 4x squared plus 24x plus 33x squared plus 272x. So I'm going to add my x squareds. 32 plus 4 would give me 36. 36 plus 33 would give me 69x squared. And then my x is 384 plus 24. Probably going to need a calculator for this one. And I'm going to add my 272 to it, so I get 680x. So that would be the area of all those farm solar panels. So that's the lesson. Your homework's going to be 7.1 Pearson. If you guys have any questions or you did not understand anything in this lesson, make sure you reach out and get extra help. With that being said, make sure you get the homework done, and I will see you guys next class.